Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back with another video. Hope you're well wherever you are, and welcome to the third and penultimate part of NeuroDIVERGENT Sundays, or sorry, Shundays. Hope you enjoy it. And these are pointers number 21 to 30 as per usual. And I mentioned in part 2 I was disappointed about Italy's result, and I mentioned a bit about Celtic's new manager, request for a new manager. Quest, not request, that is just to clarify. No, I struggle with my pronunciation, but anywho, here goes. So these are pointers number 21 to 30, as I say. And I say, here goes. So number 21, I dream to celebrate historical successes by neurodivergent people. Which hopefully can build momentum to inspire future generations as well. But talking about 21 again, looking back at the past, I'm trying to remember my chain of thought. I thought in part 2, actually, the not so distant past, actually, I thought part 2 I probably gave a bit too much info away. Yeah, I probably shouldn't say every thought on my mind. I'm not sure if I should mention something else to think about, but I mean, I know I mentioned that the way he pronounces his surname is not the best, I guess, when you convert it to English, if you like, when you translate it to English. But yeah, I don't know if I gave too much info there, but I know it's only his surname, but I know certain names, like French names, if you say them in England, they sound a bit bad, or vice versa, or I'm sure, and like German names, sometimes if you say them in English, they don't sound too good, and vice versa. Like Michelle is a popular name for boys in France, apparently, but in England it's a girl's name. So yeah, I wasn't sure if I gave too much info there that way. But talking also about Italian soccer and Celtic FC, especially Italian soccer in this case, and 21 again, I'd love to get back to the glory days, and I hope Italy can have a miracle and get to the World Cup and even go on and win it. We'd have to go for a playoff to do so, I'm pretty sure, unless we're one of the best runners up. Because we lost 4-1 today, I don't know if we're going to be able to do that, but I hope we can recover and improve and learn a lot. And I was thinking, like, what if former players, that's another thing I was thinking of, it's like, what if former Italian players, especially the ones who won in like 2006, 20 years ago, or 19 years ago now, not quite 20 years ago, but it will be 20 years in the next World Cup. Not sure about the dates of when the World Cup is. I think it's normally in June or July, so they mix up sometimes depending on weather or whatever. But like when it was in Qatar, it was in a different month or whatever, because it was too hot at that time or something. But and I think it's going to be in Saudi in 2034, so it might be in hotter climate. But I dream that somehow Italy will become the #1 footballing nation by then. That would be pretty cool. But ASAP really. But I wonder if the former players, like, I mean, Gattuso was one of them, but also like Maldini, Nesta, Cannavaro. Sorry for those who are not into soccer, but all those former great players who helped to win the World Cup in 2006, especially Cannavaro, who was really instrumental, Pirlo, and many other players. Gattuso, who our manager is now, was one of them. I wonder if they could talk to the current crop of players and help them to win. But yeah, there are one or two other things I was wondering whether to say, but I think I'll leave them for now. But moving on, number 22, I hope we'll have future successes for neurodivergent people. Getting back to talking about neurodivergent people, and I said about how I'd love to talk about things that begin with SU, like success, support for success, support networks, and that kind of thing. And I mean, the network idea is not just for a specific day, to be fair, but I guess you could describe it as a support network, which would be fitting for Sunday. I would say support and for success, which is part of my patterns, like I say, things that alliterate and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd love to see, like, as I say, with momentum, what we could achieve in the future. And I talked about in part 2, like, success can be different to different people. Some it's making loads and loads of money. For others, it's helping other people. Like I love to help people and animals and living things and whatever. And for some, it might just be functioning in a normal life or whatever it might be for an individual. So I dream that neurodivergent people will be able to be supported with success, whatever it looks like for them. And I dream that Italian football and Celtic will be as successful as possible. Again, soccer or whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, footy, soccer, calcio, football, or whatever. But yeah, it's a bit worrying for me at the moment with Italian football. And I do have my fears about the new manager of the Celtic. But I hope to talk about that a bit later on. I hope to talk about that soon. I was hoping to do more videos, but it's just like my brother sort of said about his friend coming over, so it sort of distracted me. I'm a bit nervous about his friend knocks on the door when I'm making a video, because I do them live and things like that. So it wasn't too helpful. And then I slept a bit too long and things like that. So I have all these plans of covering these videos, but I hope to do so ASAP. I'll be lucky to get around to part 4, which I normally like to get to if I can, but sometimes I don't even make it that far. But moving on that note, number 23, I'll say to me, success is supporting others, helping and supporting animals and people, especially children, the poor, disabled people, and things like and groups like that, people like that. So I'll say supporting people and especially children, disabled and the poor, and also animals and pets and things like that, and making the world a better place, a more compassionate and sympathetic and empathetic place for as many people and animals and living things as possible. And I'd love to fundraise for that kind of thing. But I say success might be different for different neurodivergent people, just like it is for neurotypical people, if you like. So I hope to help them to achieve success, to get the support to achieve success, again, whatever that might look like and will be to them. Like if I had lots of money, I would donate it to those 5 causes, which I often talk about. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to push my view of what's important and what success is to other people, because they might have their own version of what success should be or actually will look like. It often feels like I should be able to finish all 4 videos in a 24-hour time span, especially as I'm unemployed, but somehow time seems to go so quick when you're having fun or whatever. It seems to never be enough. It never seems to be enough time. I have to think like with money. I don't think money is scarce. I think money is abundant. I think what is scarce is like knowledge. I think facts, the proper use of facts, stats, proper analysis of stats, time, information, figures, and again, proper use of figures and knowledge. I think, especially knowledge, I think, and the correct use of information and things like that, I think that is what is lacking. And I think school dumbs people down, but in a very clever way. And I think that's why people feel that money is scarce. But really, time is very scarce and money is really abundant. It's just many of us don't know how to get to it, to make it or whatever, generate it or whatever. But anyway, that's my view. I'd love to know what you think as ever. And on that note, please let me know what you think in the comments, especially neurodivergent people. But neurotypical people are welcome. For those who don't know, neurodiverse means people with different types of minds, like dyslexia, ADHD, autism, dyspraxia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, and conditions like that. There's quite a few of them, obviously, as I've just listed there, but and probably 1 or 2 others as well. I think Tourette's comes under neurodiverse as well, but yeah, neurotypical means people with, you could say normal, if you like, which is a non-PC term, or average or whatever, something like that. But I suppose you could say we're all neurodiverse in some way, maybe better. Moving on, talking about there only being 24 hours a day, point number 24, I dream to use each day better. And I'd love to talk about my philosophies with my fellow neurodiverse people, my philosophies on business, life, sports, and all manner of things. And I sort of cover them in these videos a little bit, but I'd love to discuss my more top secret ideas. I was going to say private, but I don't mean necessarily like that. I don't mean it that way because I'd be telling it wrong, but I mean top secret ideas. that I wouldn't share with neurotypical people, generally speaking anyway. But on a serious note, I hope to use each day a bit better, or as well as possible. Make the best use of each day. I wish I was more organised, and we could help each other and support each other on that note to make the most of our day and be more, as well as more ethical, more productive, and that kind of thing. Number 25, I'd love to support republics. Number 26, I'd love to have networking events, especially in places like Malaysia, India, Indonesia, and South Africa would be a huge one because they went through apartheid. I have a bit of a biased thing to want to support Saudi Arabia because Mohammed bin Salman has similar initials as mine, and they start with M and S, end in S. And also, I'd love for him to encourage him to invest in a town for one Celtic. But I'd love for them to host NeuroDIVERSE events, and maybe the PIF, Public Investment Fund, and other sovereign wealth funds like Qatar, the Qatari sovereign wealth fund, and that kind of thing, could invest in neurodiverse people and our talents and skills. But in return, we can go and visit those nations and talk about how we could help them to grow, given our unique neurodiverse out-of-the-box thinking and things like that. So seeing things that other people don't see, seeing the bigger picture and things like that. But South Africa would be probably the biggest one I'd love to host events in because they went through apartheid. So making up for the fact they went through apartheid. I know I mentioned it yesterday. I probably talked about it a few times before, but including with dyslexia, but even neurodiversity generally, like how we're treated differently because our brain works differently. And apartheid sort of said that the black South Africans, it sort of treated them inferior, and people who still support apartheid want to do that. And if you look at the academic system, it's a bit different, obviously, but it's kind of like you get A-star students, and then you get students like me at the bottom, or whatever, and some in the middle, of course, and that kind of thing. I'm a U student, as in unmarkable, and whatever, but anyway, on that note, moving on. But yeah, I'd love to have events in South Africa for neurodiverse people and show them what we can do to benefit South Africa, again, to make up for the fact they went through apartheid. And also, I think symbolically, I think apartheid is similar to, I know it's not the same as, but similar to the academic system for, or even society generally for neurodiverse people. Number 27, I hope to, maybe in the future we could have a list of the top supporters of neurodiverse people, those who invest in us, help us to get tax cuts and things like that. That's one thing I wanted to say. I think a video I made on Friday, the equivalent I made on Friday for NeuroDIVERGENT Fridays, I meant to say in point number 3, but I forgot about how I'd love for us to be tax exempt. I may have mentioned it, but afterwards I was sure I'd forgotten to mention that one. Yeah, I know I normally talk about like the Walk, Wall and Hall of Fame, listing things on websites, TikTok and YouTube, and things like that to thank, and Facebook and social media generally, and I say websites and whatnot, to say thanks to those who support neurodivergent people. Talking about thanks, though, I know this is a bit of a side note, I often say, but not necessarily neurodivergent, but I would love to thank 3 nations in the world, really. One is Malaysia. The second one, which I'd probably want to thank the most, is India. And the third is Singapore. I normally put it in that order because of my initials, like it starts with M and ends in S. So hence I put it in that order. But the biggest one would actually be India, because they looked after us Eurasians. Like India had seats in Parliament for Anglo-Indians. Unfortunately, again, no, that's not neurodivergent specific, but unfortunately, Modi took a lot of those rights away. But historically, they looked after us. So going back in history, I think India looked after Eurasians the most. So I'd love to reward them the most. Yeah, I'd love to see what neurodivergent people can do to benefit those nations as well. But I think the biggest one in terms of neurodivergent people would be South Africa. That's not to say thanks, that's just to compensate them, reparate them, that kind of thing. I hope that will make sense. Number 28, I hope to turn negatives into positives, and I talk about changing the perceptions of neurodiversity. And number 29, it would be interesting to see what we can achieve when we work together. And number 30, as ever, I'd love to know what you think, and I'm out. And peace and love. I hope Italy can get through, as I say. And I hope Celtics manager will do well.